shout outs to Persona Central, a site that's run by a friend of mine actually from Montreal, pretty cool guy. They paid attention to some of the Q&A following their quarterly financial reports. So they took some questions from their investors, and they basically had the Sega Sammy president and COO say that we've remastered Persona 4 The Golden, a title previously sold on Vita, released it for Steam in the fiscal year, and because of its critical acclaim and its low selling price, sales were much stronger than we expected. We will continue to actively promote porting previously released titles to Steam and new platforms. We're negotiating with platform holders for new games in the future and considering ways to sell under favorable conditions for each title. Among them, measure such as preparing PC versions for titles from the beginning with multi-platform releases in mind.
So this is like legitimately good news, but it's so upsetting.
Yep.
It's so upsetting.
This is the speed at which this is the market catch-up speed, you know? Like, it takes about a decade for the company to catch on to what people have been asking for from release.
Like
10 years.
To those of you who can't quite understand just why it's so upsetting, this is the equivalent of you telling your friend that broccoli is actually really good if you cook it well. No, man, I actually have broccoli a lot. It's like a good staple vegetable. I really enjoy it. And they're like, broccoli is garbage. I don't want to have broccoli. And then a different friend, a decade after you know them, sneaks broccoli into their food and they eat it. And the next time you see you, he's like, I recently started eating broccoli. It's really good. Would you believe it? Like, isn't that crazy? And you're like, you bitch, you motherfucking bitch, you fucking shithead bitch, idiot. I'll jam this broccoli down your fucking throat. It's the worst. It is the fucking worst.
Broccoli is great.
Broccoli's pretty good. Yeah. I didn't like it as a kid, but I like it as an adult.
I'm just reminded of all the other things where you just kind of you get the news and you just kind of get to go finally, and it really 10 years of waiting on something and going like, why don't they get it? Why don't they know? How is it so hard to get the message across? How is this falling on deaf ears for a decade? Like, what's up with that? And then you finally kind of get some news and you go, well, thank God, but also you've deadened yourself inside to the issue after 10 years, you know?
So, I mean, I can actually tell you exactly what the answer is. And I mean, I'm sure you know it, but maybe people...
I'm trying to not stay the obvious here, but yeah.
The obvious is that the people that you need to talk to are isolated, either regionally or linguistically or in terms of corporate infrastructure. They're not front-facing. So, like, people have the ability to talk to and interview people like Daisuke Shiwatari, like you did, or Harada, and, like, literally tell them, right? And be like, hey, dude, we want this, or this is cool, or whatever. Often the people in those decisions are people you don't know the names of and will never meet and never see, so you can't talk to them. And then when people inside that company do talk to them, well, I've been here for 20 years. I've been here since the Super Nintendo. I know how games work. I know how games are made, and I know better. And that's it.
Generally speaking.
Literally it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the role of community manager, I remember when that did not exist, and I remember when it started existing, and I remember when what that meant was person who posts on the blog that we have, like, put out, that essentially just kind of talks directly to, people who are fans or whatever, but they don't really talk. It's just, I am making press releases that sound less stiff from our blog. That's all a community manager was.
I remember the first time I ever saw a community manager, and it was 2003, and it was the World of Warcraft beta. Might have been 2004 on release, but Rob Pardo was like the head blue mod on the Blizzard forums during World of Warcraft's release, and his job was to go into every topic complaining about everything and find the questions that actually mattered for shit and talk to a human and get some kind of answer, right? And the answer was almost always, we're working on it, right? But even that was better than before. And at least the devs would know what questions were coming in, because it's like, man, they keep bugging us about this guild bank shit, or, oh, they keep bugging us about this bug out in whatever. And Rob won't leave me alone about this shit, and I don't care about it, but fuck it, I'll fix, But now it is like now. Like, there's always been the thing of like, do they do that, which is what they're supposed to do, or are they just placating the anger people with the press release?
And the answer is they're placating anger. Now, when Twitter became more of a thing, we got like much more clear like feedback loops, or at the very least what seemed to be, I can talk to you on Twitter directly, you might respond, and that means you've gotten the heads up about it. And then they kind of have to compile that from at least from talking to community manager guys about this stuff. It sounds like what they do is kind of eventually compile the vibes into a report and send it off to the ether. And
there's a wild difference between the fucking what do you call it, the press release guy, and then the person you're talking about in the middle, and then people like Reb Ford, who will hang out with you on stream, and as you try and trick them into shit talking Destiny, and you make fun of them for how buggy their game is, and they're like, ho ho ho, right? Love you, Reb. Your Dio costume looks incredible. But there's a wide chasm in between that.
And what kind of hurts is that over the course of this decade-long game of fucking string can telephone, right?
Yeah.
As the vibration travels slowly, you have like things where you see the transcript of an investor meeting where that person will get their question in, the investor will get their question in directly to the COO right away, and it would be a case of like, oh, I don't know, whatever. Hey, my kid's been playing the Fortnite, spends a lot of money. When can we get that kind of money? What's going on with that?
When is this game going to be more like Call of Duty / Fortnite / Minecraft?
And I want to make it clear, because we spend a lot of time dumping on these investor meetings all the time.
Sure do.
Because they really are like rough to listen to, because it's people who are like kind of throwing in the money looking for the investments, and oftentimes don't understand what they're investing in a lot. And they ask really dumb questions, and it's kind of embarrassing because you can hear the person who's answering like have to fucking mentally just like,
well, I mean, let's not mince words, Woolie. Most investors who go to these meetings are moronic, dirtbag, old, rich, fuckhead capitalists. Like, they're rich people that love being rich and love to gamble and just give me more money now.
Of course,
money.
and yes, and they're providing money that is then going to go work on these projects. But the point of the dunking is that like it's because like that voice is being heard loudly, and it's a dumb voice.
Very loudly.
Over the people that are willing to spend and buy your thing, right? Like, your two places to get money from are investors and people that buy the product. And all the people that are on the receiving end of like we're waiting to buy the product, we have the money here, we want to give it to you, right? Those things, if it takes 10 years for the message to get heard and reacted to, but you know what I mean? But in the meantime, over here, you get these dumb things flying out, and
it's a much more complicated topic than games. Like, the idea that an invested company's only job is to make money isn't even actually technically true. Its original stated goal was to create value, which is why the stocks go up, and then you acquire value. And the idea of like short-term like investiture for gains, which is basically just rich people gambling, really only became popular in the past couple decades. So like it's a whole fucking thing. Like the idea of people like I'm going to invest in Blizzard, and when Blizzard is their sub numbers go down, I'm going to be like, why are no sub numbers down? And it's like, well, we're the most popular game in the world. And less people are playing us. That means less people are playing in general. There's nothing to be done about the amount of consumers going down. Yeah, but I put the money. Give more money now. Money.
Yeah, it's just I know that out there's a straw man that says fuck all of that and fuck all of that money, and then this is, even though this is a corporate entity that is trying to be profitable, games should be made for free and sold for free, and you know what I mean, like just
Let's
know
not go too.
Of course not. It's a completely stupid thing to go down. But there is definitely a person who will hear like this kind of conversation and be like, "Oh, so what? They should just never." So then investors are not an important part of what's going on here or whatever. And it's like, yeah, okay, fuck that. That's not the point, obviously. But I'm just saying that I'm going down this rabbit hole because it's like we're talking about something that Sega has come out and basically said in their financial quarterly meeting. Yeah, that PC release we did was pretty smart. We should do more of that. And
everyone's like, yeah, no shit, morons.
And I literally cannot think of a single fan of Persona that I've had a conversation with that has not, at some point, echoed this sentiment like fucking ages ago. It's crazy.
I can expand that out to the SMT fans in general. There are like 20 games that Atlas released from like the PS1 to the PS2 that just live on that platform alone and like are gone now. Like that's why everybody popped off for the Nocturne re-release, because it's like, holy shit, that game's incredible. It sure would be great if you could play it on something that's not 15 years old.
So I guess then, in conclusion, like I feel as if the creation and hiring of a community manager almost is like let's have someone whose official role it is to bridge the gap between the fan base and us, and we're going to hire someone from the West who understands it, that comes from that fan base, to represent all of that. But if you still then keep that person and what they have to report to you at an arm's distance, then it's kind of pointless, because if the person's job is to just quell the anger, so to speak, or like give people platitudes, but there's nothing positive to actually say because you won't listen to them, they kind of have an impossible task to begin with.
So here's a really good example from Sega, the Sonic Twitter guy. So he told his story when he stepped down from the Sonic Twitter. Hey, how come the Sonic Twitter was so badass and hilarious? And he said, well, I was doing the regular thing, and I kept wanting to make funny jokes, but I had to go through like, you know, a 2-day long approval process where somebody would have to translate it in Japanese, and I have to get an answer back, yada yada. So I decided to just skip the approval process and just do whatever I wanted. And then the account got lots of followers, so they liked me, and so they could let me keep doing whatever I wanted. That guy just got promoted to God, what the fuck was it, like head of strategy or marketing, like something?
Yep. He got a big promotion. Absolutely.
Yeah, huge big promotion.
So he asked for forgiveness instead of permission.
Yeah, and that dude will now have real influence on shit at Sega, which is great, because that dude knows what the deal is. Not Sonic, anyway, at the very least.
I mean, I will say that being funny doesn't necessarily mean like making great decisions creatively.
No, it doesn't. But what it does mean is that he knows like the way people actually give a shit about Sega's products, to the point where he can have a good time with them.
I mean, let's not forget that kicking ass and taking names is basically what got Reggie presidency.
It got him way over.
Like, that's all it was. It was that one moment, that one time he said something kind of like stronger than Nintendo that would like at the time, and that was enough for him to fucking parlay it into leadership of the entire company on the Western side of things. So, you know, body being ready was way later than that. I'm talking about the first thing Reggie ever did when he walked up and said, I'm about kicking ass, taking names, and we're about making games. You know, like, People were still in that, like, Nintendo ain't babby shit. It's serious. It's real. And
This
that
big
was
tall pizza man, he's gonna tell you he's gonna fight you.
Yeah. So, good job. Good job. Yay for PC
Sega.
releases.
You found your dick.
Turns out it was there the whole time.